I'm Marika Hackman, and these are Records in My Life.
Guys, thanks for checking out Records in My Life. We're here with a Sub Pop recording artist, singer-songwriter Marika Hackman. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
How are things going?
Really good, yeah. We're 4 dates into our North American tour, and it's it's been really, really fun. It's like my first time kind of playing shows properly out here, so
Tell us a bit about the new album. And
yeah, well, it's kind of a departure from my last one, which was a lot more melancholy, a bit more wistful. This one's a bit more of a slap around the face. It's fun. It's got a bit of a bite. It's kind of grungier. It's heavier. It's and I recorded it with a band called The Big Moon. They played with me on it, and so it's kind of the sound of like 5 girls just like thrashing out in the studio, which is quite like a force to be reckoned with.
And they're your live band as well, right?
Yes. So we're on tour together at the moment. So they're playing and I'm playing with them as well. So they're doing 2 shows a night, which is pretty impressive.
Sweet. And what's the name of the record for those who don't know?
It's called I'm Not Your Man.
Available where?
All good record stores and online and all that stuff. All the places you would find a record.
So what was inspiring you? Give us an album that was inspiring you to write the record since you did move in a new direction. Was there a couple of albums or an album in particular that...
Well, I think... I'm trying to think back now, because when I wrote it, this was like 2 years ago, I was kind of surrounded maybe by like a slightly more poppy kind of bunch of people, and I think that slightly kind of like fed into the ethos of the way I was writing, which was just kind of like letting it go. But I was kind of listening to like a lot of The Cure, and there's obviously like some Nirvana hints in there and stuff like that. But I also, this is quite a tricky one for me because I don't listen to that much music when I write, because I find it hard in my brain. I don't want to like copy anyone. Yeah. Maybe actually, I think one of the records I was really listening to at that time was Currents by Tame Impala. That was like, I think it had just come out when I kind of started writing this record. And I know you probably can't hear it. It doesn't sound maybe like my record, but I kind of just liked the weight behind all the parts and the kind of groovy bass lines and things like that. And I think that's kind of translated through to this one.
Did you produce your album too, or
no? Charlie Andrew, who I've worked with, he produced it, but I kind of did all the arrangements and everything like that before we kind of got into rehearsals and stuff. So it was like quite a fully formed thing, and then Charlie used his genius ears and knowledge of everything to make it sound better.
And what's lately, what record are you guys listening to? An album in the van? Something that you're all digging? Or you're digging?
We've just been listening to a lot of kind of like noughties, throwback songs in the van. But I think the last record that really kind of got me was by a band called Moona. It's called About You, and it's one of those ones where I listen to the whole thing, start to finish, maybe 3 times a day, just walking around. It's kind of pop, but it's got some really good messages in there, and it's a very like... It's a record that makes, I think, people feel really like unified and together and positive, as well as kind of dealing with heartbreak and being quite melancholy in places as well. So it's really fun, but it's got like a real emotional weight to it.
What's the name of the album again?
About You.
About You by Moona?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty difficult to listen to, actually. I've had this conversation before, but if an album grabs you from the start to the finish, it's pretty good. There's not a lot of records out there that...
Yeah, they kind of make you sit down and listen for like hours on end every day. I do find it hard to listen to music. I don't listen to that much music. I don't know if that's because I'm always trying to be creative myself. And I think it's a bad thing. But when I do find a record like that, it's almost like a relief. It's like, I've got something I can really kind of get my teeth into for the next couple of weeks or months or however long.
As we were talking before, your parents were animators, right? So I mean, they were into arts and stuff like that. Were there any albums that they played for you that you really loved?
Yeah, I mean, I think my mum got me into Led Zeppelin, sort of like all of those early Led Zeppelin records. I kind of got some of them in my stocking when I was like 9 or whatever, and we used to listen to them in the car on the way to school.
That's a nice gift.
So I remember like John, yeah, it's a great gift. I remember John Bonham was like my hero because I was learning the drums when I was a kid, and like I did a huge painting of him. I wouldn't be able to like pick out a specific album just because we used to like chop between, so it's between like 1, 2 and 3 somewhere, all of those.
1, 2 and 3?
Yeah.
When you get back from like playing a show or something and you go home, is there an album you like to listen to unwind at home? Something that relaxes you?
Yeah, Exquisite Corpse. Well, it's a EP, but Exquisite Corpse by Warpaint. It was the first thing of theirs that I listened to maybe when I was like 18 and kind of starting out doing this. It was really inspirational at the time, and it's still my favourite thing they've released, which is probably, if they ever heard me saying that, they'd probably be really pissed off. But it's really chilled out and just kind of, it's got a really good groove and like the drum parts and stuff. It's like simple but like beautiful and really heavy in parts and stuff like that. It's one of my favourite things.
She's a really in-demand Stella Mozgawa. I think she's a really in-demand drummer now. She's touring. She's a touring drummer now. I'm not sure if you know, Kurt Vile and Courtney Barnett. You know about that whole collaboration you're doing?
I'm really jealous because Stella is someone that I'd really like to work with at some point. I just saw them play at Glastonbury like a few weeks ago, and I couldn't take my eyes off her the whole way. She's just phenomenal. Like, she's my new John Bonham.
Well, that's high praise. So let's say if you were allowed to take one record from your collection.
Okay. I think I'd take Have One On Me by Joanna Newsom, because there's so much in there to kind of get into, and I feel like you could just listen to it over and over again and find new things every single time, and it's just, it goes through so many emotions. It's so beautiful, it's so strange, then it kind of pulls you back in. It's a real like journey of a record, so I think that would be a good one to kind of pick if I had to like have one from it.
Excellent choice. Let's do one final one. Let's do a record which will always make you want to dance.
Ooh, I mean, this might sound weird because it doesn't really seem like dancing music, but it's kind of from a part of my childhood. And I can remember it so clearly, and it makes me feel like a kid again, and it makes me feel like really kind of like empowered and like I want to be a musician. And this might shock you. It's like, I don't know. It's Avril Lavigne, Let Go. It's a great record. Yeah, and it's like my brother gave it to me for like my 11th birthday or something like that, and I had it on my Discman, and I used to just play it all the time. And songs on there like Anything But Ordinary and Complicated and Boyfriend. It's not Boyfriend. Complicated, yeah. Skater Boy.
Skater Boy, right.
Yeah, and Anything But Ordinary. Like, they would just get me dancing straight away. It's just the kid in me.
That's great. I mean, she's been referenced a couple of times on the show. And so I mean, she has inspired a lot of people to, now of course there's the big backlash, but she has inspired for some reason. But I mean,
yeah, well, I think as well, like being like a young girl and kind of toying with the idea of maybe like picking up a guitar and starting to write songs, and seeing her kind of just like being a tomboy and kind of just like getting out there and doing that, it felt really cool because I was so used to just seeing people like Britney Spears around all the time. So I think it kind of had an impact on me, and like I think those songs are really fun and I like dancing to them.
I know I said that was the last one. Let's just do one more for fun. Someone's starting a record collection.
Oh.
And they'll say to you, Marika, I'm starting a record collection.
What? I'm trying to think about what I started mine with. I mean, I guess it really depends on your taste. You're probably going to want like a staple in there, like a Beatles record. Yeah. But like, I don't know, that seems a bit run-of-the-mill. If it was me, I'm trying to... Beach House, Teen Dream. I think that's a really good starting point for a record collection, because it can kind of go anywhere after that.
That's good.
And it's a great record.
That's a great shot. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
No worries.
Do you have any messages for the World Wide Web's words of wisdom, a joke?
Ooh, I'm not very wise. A joke?
Yeah, you can do a joke.
Oh, hang on.
Tell us a joke.
Oh, no, wait. We did tell some jokes the other day, but I think they're all kind of gross. I can't tell them. and I'm not very wise.
Yeah, sure you are.
I
You're being paid to play music on the road. You're of course you're wise.
Well, I mean, I feel like a pearl of wisdom. I think always say no to the things that you don't want to do. Like, never feel like you have to do the stuff that you don't want to do, and it will always pay off. That's something I've learned, and I think it's really important.
That's great advice.
And start a record collection.
Yes, thank you so much.